My name is Wes Holloway. I am a C5-6 incomplete spinal cord injury. So I paint and draw as like my medium, but I also do like community engaged work. So um, I consider even like going out and doing those leisure activities like my art. Setup kind of changes depending on where I am able to make art. If I have like an ideal like studio setting, um, of course I have to have things kind of out at my kind of reachable level to where I can get it. If I need things like opened, I have to ask someone to do that beforehand, or figure out strategies of like putting paint in cups that I can then cover myself to where I don't need the help. So a lot of like prep things. Because I am in a wheelchair and I can't like get under an easel or anything like that, I put my work surface like on the walls and just kind of wheel up parallel to that and work. But of course, like if I don't have a studio, then I'm kind of mobile to work on my lap and just work downward. So then that of course changes like what kind of stuff I can use. When I first started, I used like U cuffs and things like that. But when it came to like painting and drawing, I often felt like it was kind of a hindrance. Um, so I just started finding ways that I could hold paintbrushes and pencils myself in a different way. Um, but I mean, of course, I use my wheelchair to like even raise them lower to get to different heights. Sometimes, like I've used long dowels and like rubber band a brush to that dowel to reach farther. So like they're not like typical tools, but I've adapted some things to make them like easier to use for myself. Like if when you use just like plain up charcoal, pencils are long, so I could grab it with charcoal sticks for like short little stub things, and I could never use them long enough. And of course they're messy, so like it would get all in my little quad hands, and then I couldn't like wheel because I'd be tracking charcoal everywhere. So I had to think about how can I get these like away from my hands but still able to use. So I mean, my biggest thing is just to try. I think it's intimidating because you, at least like nowadays, like people feel like they have to make something that's amazing or like shareable on Instagram or something like that. So, I mean, I just always tell people get a sketchbook and like have that as even like a personal diary. Like you don't have to show anybody. Just practice and work on that, and like slowly but surely you'll again develop these like skills that you find useful for yourself. Um, you can practice in that sketchbook with like, okay, like I can't use charcoal, but what if I try markers? And then it's like, oh, I like markers, like, or you know, I have tried using crayons, and I'm like, no, I can't use crayons because they're again short and stubby, and you have to like press hard to get the wax off. And I'm like, okay, let me try colored pencil. Okay, that works better. But then you have to sharpen them like that. So it's just like trying things, and then sooner or later you'll find something that works for you or that you like. Or if you're using again crayons, like in my sketchbook, and I'm just gonna scribble just to see like what the material does. And then it's like, oh, I can't use this, but what if I don't know, peel the paper off and use the other end or something like that. Like I think like those kind of just exercises and trying things is um, like just a great way to start. It's hard to practice, but giving yourself permission to fail um, is one of the biggest things. Okay, well, if that's all you can do is stick figures, like go for it. Do stick figures. Like you don't need to be rendering portraiture like realistically, not even like right off the bat, but ever. Like there's enough people that can do that already. So kind of embrace your stick figures. Nowadays, a good resource is YouTube. Even when it comes not like disability stuff, like Googling like how to use watercolor or like YouTubing it and then being like spending an hour watching that and then practicing and trying things. I mean, not to toot our own horn, but having the Opening Arts and Minds program um, was just like a phenomenal thing, to just art wise to connect with other like minded people, but also like having therapists there to troubleshoot tools and stuff. And then all of a sudden you're connecting